What's going on?
Happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday.
Here we are again.
Absolutely. Yeah. Once again.
Once again, baby.
Back in the lab.
Back in the lab. Back in the lab.
Yep.
So this is actually going to be our last. David's like, what you mean last? I just got this mic. What?
Yeah.
This is going to be our last recording together in a while because I'll be away on vacation. Obviously, we have a ton of episodes already lined up. I'll be away on vacation, and then after that, we have the men's ministry that we're going to be speaking to, which I'm excited. Wish you could be there.
Oh, yeah.
So, Lord, if you can cancel the school somehow.
Send a snowstorm.
But only in that one area above the school. Everywhere else is good.
Yes,
Chicagoland.
Leave my house alone.
Exactly. So, one thing that we wanted to hit on a couple weeks back was the superficial Christian. Are they helpful or are they harmful to the church?
Can you explain what you mean by superficial?
I look at the superficial Christian as like, hey, good morning, how are you? God is good. God loves you.
Yeah.
But then, and I mean, I guess some people could really be like that. And I guess that's okay. For me personally, at least in this season of my life, that comes off as, I mean, for lack of a better term, fake.
Yeah.
Right? Like you
Holier than thou.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great way. It's like the holier than thou type of guys.
Yeah.
Where it's like, life is not always that positive.
Exactly.
We would like it to be, or at least that perception, but I think it's more harmful to the church. So to backpedal a little bit, I think there's two ways to look at it, right? I think it's helpful because you're getting more people talking about God and like, okay, cool, like be like one of the fruits of the Spirit, be like that example out in the world. But on another sense, and this is me more personally speaking, it's like, I don't like that because if someone comes into church who's really hurting, like you said it best, like church is like a hospital, right? People come in who are sick. That I feel like would turn someone off. Hey, good morning. What's your name?
Exactly.
You know, like,
Exactly.
so that's how I feel. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
I'm in the same boat.
I have a different vision in my head for a superficial Christian.
No.
Like, for me, a superficial Christian is like a cold Christian. Like, the Bible speaks about cold, lukewarm, hot,
Yep.
right? A cold Christian is a superficial Christian for me. Like, he, I don't know, is he saved? Is she saved? I don't know. But maybe they accepted Jesus, right? And they stayed there, and that's them and God, right? But there has to be some growth. You know what I mean? And something else that I think of as a superficial Christian is someone who says they're Christian, but has no fruits of the Spirit, right? They don't actively try to walk with the Lord. They don't like reading. Okay. They don't like listen to the Bible. They don't try to come to church.
It's almost like I just go to church on Sundays and that's it.
Like I identify as Christian, but I'm gonna go practice some voodoo on this weekend. You know what I mean, type of thing.
Why'd you have to say with that accent?
Hey, it came out the way it came out. All right, I'm not sorry.
He hit him with the head bob and everything. I'm like,
yeah. I identify as Christian.
Let's see. Okay. So, would you say that there's seasons for that, though? Like, at the very beginning, the person that is just coming into faith might be, lukewarm or cold because they don't have the expectation, established that this is what it means to truly be a Christian. So, they're just going after what they think as opposed to learning about what it is to actually be a Christian.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying, like, people that are fresh to to Jesus, that they're cold, right, or that they're superficial because they're babies, right?
Yeah.
I think you get a little pass for that. You know what I mean? Like you're new to the team.
You're a baby. You know what I mean? Like you don't
exactly.
discipline a baby because they're like screaming. You know what I mean? They don't know any better. It's just like, all right, you're okay.
Exactly.
Unless you're German, then maybe.
Unless you're German, is that what you said? Nine.
David's like, dude.
You do not have the oops.
First the Amish.
Everybody gets it on this podcast.
Everybody's gonna get it. This is like the South Park.
Yeah, the South Park Christianity.
This is like
Oh,
the South
God.
Park of,
I'm sorry, Jesus. No, but yeah, like people that are fresh to the gospel, I believe it's Paul that speaks on them and says that they are babies, new creations in the Lord, and how they need the unadulterated milk, right? So they need to be led, they need to be taught, discipled, and it's a very crucial moment because they could be led astray and they have no idea. They could be taught doctrines and dogmas of the church versus what God wants and speaks in the Bible. And you should be clean shaven, but you can have a mustache.
Yeah.
What?
Why?
Like mine.
Yeah.
exactly
Yeah.
like this.
Hey.
Yeah. No godly, music and but and like
Worldly music, you mean?
worldly secular music,
Gotcha.
even if it has a gospel message, right?
Yeah.
But then they have like their version of like or their culture's what's a word? Their culture's melody with the whatever up at the altar. And I'm just like, what? What are you doing, dude? It's confusing.
Exactly.
So you're saying it's more so the people that have been Christians for decades that are likely to become cold.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Or, then there's the people that just, like I said, accepted Jesus and stayed there, And I understand there's seasons, right? Like, for whatever reason, you might have come to God and whatever the reason, you didn't get taught, you didn't get discipled, you didn't know how to read the Bible, right? Because the Bible is difficult to read, especially depending on the translation.
It is.
And some of these words, you're like, what's going on? And then like, dude, don't even get me started with genealogies. All right,
Exactly.
like my brain just goes blank.
Exactly.
Right?
Oh, dude, yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to read Genesis to my daughters. They're 4, and they're just like, and then Hamel, and then Enoch, and then Methuselah, and then
Yeah, exactly. Who are all these people?
yeah. I know why it's important, right?
Yeah,
but like
exactly.
someone that's starting off, they're like, what is the point in all these names? Who are these people?
Let's map this out.
Yeah. And then, if you map it out, then you realize, they're trying to show you that everyone came from these 2 people and that Jesus came from the lineage of, But you have to have some time, or you have to have someone explain it to you, because, like, God's Holy Spirit is the only one that could just illuminate your mind like that as you're reading the Bible and you just start piecing things together. Because, you read, by the time that you get to Daniel, you forgot what was in Genesis for the most part. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So it's God's illumination there.
Man, I had a point that I was going to make. This is why I usually bring a notebook, because every time I will forget the memory of a goldfish.
Write down your notes on your phone.
Exactly. Oh, yeah.
He's like, well, we're recording right now? What?
Exactly, man.
How'd I get here?
Let's see.
Who are you people?
Yeah, no, that's what it was. Okay, so in the Bible, it actually talks about it. I wanted to bring that up, and I wanted to see if it was going to be applicable to the situation where it says, woe to those that would do my little children harm, essentially. So would you think that would be like that lukewarm Christian or the cold Christian to the newer people to the faith coming through, and then essentially, you're going to hell or whatever just based off of this without giving any kind of context. And now it might be truthful, but you might be turning that person away just because of your delivery. It actually talks about that in the Bible as well.
Your delivery?
Yeah.
Specifically? Uh-huh.
Yeah. So, wanted to see if you guys thought that might be applicable. The woe making sure that you're not turning away these babies, essentially, my children, if you will.
That's, to me, that really applies to people that know that they're doing wrong, and they do it anyways, right? Especially with people, especially with children, especially with people that are young in the faith, that don't have a very strong connection with God, that don't have a very strong foundation, right? But when it comes to the message, I think that in every season, the way that you speak to some, they're gonna take something better, right? So in one season, I might be real sensitive, and you gotta talk to me like, like I'm sensitive, right?
Exactly.
And another season, I might be really hard-headed, and I need someone to say, "Hey, wake the f up! You're going the wrong way." And
In Jesus' name.
in Jesus' name, yeah. And then I'd be like, "Oh, this person never speaks to me like this." Like,
Exactly.
I'm okay. Let me circle back. Let me internalize, right? Like, for example, John the Baptist, right? He was going around calling people generations of vipers or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So, what does that mean? So I think it all depends on how God wants to speak.
That's so good.
And then look at like the prophets, like the major prophets, when they would come into a town and they start laying into the town. You know what I mean? They start saying some things, and you're what is it? Child of like murderous women, or I forgot what the word, but you know what I'm trying to say. Like,
exactly.
They got some strong words, right?
Exactly.
And so I think it all depends on the season. But what you're getting at is when somebody knows that they're doing something wrong, especially when it comes in the context of leading someone down a bad path.
Exactly.
Yeah. So there's obviously plenty of people that know that they're doing wrong and leading people down the wrong path.
Exactly.
I think, especially when it comes down to children, I'm just so much more like defensive about it. Like I was actually having this conversation with Sam, and I'm like, I have like some leeway for people who are like murderers and all these things. Like, this may be right or wrong, but this is my perspective. I have some leeway. I have more grace towards them than someone who like assaults a kid. That's sexually,
child rapist,
like a child rapist,
child
a
molester,
pedophile, child molester. All these, like,
I get it.
That I'm like, no.
There's no coming back from that.
Yeah, it's funny because jail agrees with you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, you had all the murders, you have all like the of the world. Yeah, but then like the moment there's a child molester and then they find out, they kill the person.
Yeah, that's why they need to be in their own area.
Yeah.
Because like we saw that when we walked through the jails. Like, yeah, these guys are, they're protected from the rest of the general population because they know why you come into prison or jail, right? They know the reasons what you did out there.
How they find out?
TV.
Today on 7 ABC News, we know.
Dude, they find out. Like, there's connections everywhere. Like, I mean, it's wild. Anyways, so they know what you did, and they'll come after you. So they have to put you away with everybody else. And one of the craziest things is those guys who are like the predators. A lot of them were like professionals.
Yeah.
Oh, like hitmen?
No. Like, they were like dentists, doctors. Like, yeah.
Absolutely.
That's the craziest thing. It's like you imagine men like that, and they're mostly men. Like, not saying that women don't do it, but they look like professionals. Like, they look like on the outside their lives are together.
Yeah.
No, wait, hold on. So then these professionals, they like killed somebody in cold blood, or was like an accident? Like, oops, I slit your throat.
No,
I think
we're
you're
like
talking about the child predators.
The child predators.
Oh, they're the
predators.
professionals.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, that was the professionals like hitman. Yeah.
Just imagine the dentist. The dentist while you're sitting in the chair.
Yeah, that's really what thought that popped in my head.
Does he have the barcode on the back of his head?
Yeah. They're operatives for the CIA. They're operatives, bro. Think they're not?
But those predators, man, like on the outside, they look like, they're clean and everything, but deep inside, it's like, so my point is, my tolerance for that is so low like I'm like, there is no place in heaven for you. And that's just me being completely honest.
Yeah.
I know God can save and God can restore and all these things. But I'm like, you don't cross my path because
See,
my ears.
Jesus will have to forgive you.
telling you.
I won't.
I am not Jesus.
Oh man, but yeah, I guess it's always been like a conflict for me, right? Because you'll hear about convicted serial killers.
Yeah.
You know, they'll be doing all this stuff on the outside, and then they go to prison, and then later on down the line, they'll end up coming to faith. You know, and then it's like, well, they killed all these people. But then you look in the Bible and it's like, hey, there were some mighty men.
Yeah, right.
There were some
dude.
very
Yeah.
mighty men that were killed thousands, hundreds of people. Yeah, and they were singing praises about these people. So, if we can sing praises about these people, then these people can be redeemed as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's tough.
It is.
But, specifically talking more so about those kids, and why I think it is that society writ large takes offense to anything happening to a child because they're defenseless.
Yeah.
They don't know. And then you have the professionals that have access that, people are trusting,
Yes.
to go about, doing whatever with. And now you put your kid into a situation that they were never prepared for and you never even thought was going to be possible. So
Isn't that crazy to think about? Like, you have to teach your kids now how to defend themselves, how to think critically at already at a young age.
yeah.
Because, what happened with the dude, like, a couple years back? He was the USA Gymnastics, like, athletic director or something,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then he got later on, like,
Yeah.
hundreds. And I'm like, what the? I can only imagine as a parent, you think, like, you're putting your kid into these situations to better themselves and
Yeah.
be around high caliber people at the top level, when it's like, that's been going on in the back. Like, how do you not... You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How do you... I'm getting angry just saying it now, right? Like, how do you not want revenge on that? Like, there's so many... Like, even... Like, there's a video, and I think I sent this to you guys on Instagram, where the dad was waiting outside of the courtroom, and his daughter's rapist, he comes out of the court, and he gets on the phone, and the dad was chilling on a bench nearby because he knew eventually he was going to come by. And the video shows the dad walks up to the dude, and the dude's like on the phone. He's like this. He's like, what? And I guess he didn't realize who he was talking to, and dude, bop, he knocks him out. And I'm like, hell yeah. You know what I mean?
Get him again.
Get him again. Right. But then,
Why'd you stop?
Seriously. But then, the cops or the sheriffs had to jump on him and restrain him. If I was a dad and I was the sheriff, I'd be like, I'm gonna get there real slow.
Yeah, exactly.
What's that? My shoes
No,
untied?
Yeah.
Oh, look, a bird. Oh, lunchtime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then the Christian in me is like, you might
Exactly.
grace, extend it to him. Like, he's not too far to,
Exactly.
And it's not our place to judge. And,
Yeah.
and then we have to, try to be ambassadors of
That's
God.
that slippery slope, man.
You're right, God. It is not my place to judge you. That's why I'm gonna send him to you.
What's that? You want to meet him?
Telling you.
But that's
wrong.
like where my mind. Yeah, but like for real, that's where my mind goes, and I really believe I'm not the only crazy dude here. Outside of us four, we're all got a little quirky. But I believe there's a lot of Christian men that think something similar. Like, if that was my family, if that was my daughter, then I would X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of us get down on ourselves, like, oh man, I'm not Christian, or I'm not thinking right.
Yeah.
We're human also.
Yeah.
But
We're also
okay,
meant to protect our families.
Exactly.
that's my point. Is that we're meant to protect our families. Like,
Yeah.
Dude, I'm not sure if you guys. I don't want to talk about this thing at length, but the Nickelodeon scandal.
Dude, I'm going to yes. Talk about it.
Where you have all these kids that were coming out like recently saying like, "Hey, I was sexually assaulted by the producer," or all these famous people.
yeah.
And when you're watching the shows and whatnot, they're putting on all these happy faces and just
Dude.
jovial, joking about it. And I wonder if the parents knew, because you think like. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the story of like Aaliyah, the singer, but
Yeah.
she was essentially put up for the slaughter, because she was married to R. Kelly when she was like 16 years old because she got pregnant. And the father like knew about him. Yeah, we can marry her off. It'll be fine, type deal. So
They
whatever
sell
it
dollar
takes.
bills.
Exactly. So at that point, I start thinking like it's old England or something like that, where you're just marrying somebody for land or whatever it is, and you're using
Let's
your
join our
kids.
kingdoms.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Exactly. So it's
That
disgusting.
practice is still going on in the Middle East.
Yeah.
Where they sell their 7-year-old daughters as wives.
Exactly. It's tough.
I think now
it's
they
wild.
promise to marry them later.
They promise.
Well, that's the thing. Like,
I'll be
we're-
right back. I'll be back.
Yeah.
At the age of like 8, it's like, hey, I have a son, you have a daughter. They don't have to get married right now.
Yeah. But it would be
But when they're
nice.
16,
No, I'm talking about
Yeah.
like 7-year-olds getting married to grown ass men.
Yeah, like 20-year-olds.
Yeah.
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 that's just wrong.
Yeah.
He's like, mm-mm.
Yeah. And they're not waiting. Which
See,
is
that's-
the messed up part.
And you know what? Like, I know we kind of came in today like, hey, let's free flow. What's on our minds and hearts? And I love that we're talking about this now because this has kind of been brewing in my mind. I mean, if you look back to like, the symbol, right, the Operation Redwood, the first piece is restoring manhood. We've talked a lot about that. But the next two pieces that I think a lot of people forget, and we don't always talk about it, right, is rescuing kids and rebuilding families. This rescuing kids part is exactly what we're talking about now. When you have weak men that don't live up to what God's calling them to be, this is exactly a byproduct of that.
Exactly.
Children suffer. When you don't have men stepping up and being protectors and being, I'm reading a book right now and it's called, let me actually pull it up. It's actually so good, man. Like I'm actually listening to the audiobook. It's like 14 hours. It's called The Toxic War on Masculinity, written by Nancy Pearcey. Nancy Pearcey, what's up? Got to get you on the show. Anyways, she was actually, she talks about she was actually a feminist. And then she wrote this book because, she came back to Christ and she started realizing, this is the masculinity is being under attack. So she comes from a scholarly background, so everything is data, and so I love how she talks about this book. So she goes, there's Christians, real Christian men, who are really striving to become good men,
Godly
men. Yeah, exactly. Godly men. They want to lead their families, go off of what the Bible is. They serve at church. They're really trying. And there's nominal men who only go to church every now and then. It's kind of just I call myself a Christian, and just like what we're talking about,
Superficial Christian.
the superficial Christian.
Yeah.
And then there are the worldly men who don't say they're Christians at all. The godly men. Data shows that there's a 30 to 50% chance they have a lower percentage of domestic violence and divorce for the godly men. Now, if you guys, let me ask you guys, who do you think had a higher rate of divorce? The nominal, hey, I call myself a Christian, but I only go on Sundays and I don't really participate, or the what's the word, the atheist men, who has a higher rate? Who do you guys think?
Man, I know that race used to be 50%, but that was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
They're probably higher now.
But which I'm saying, which control group? do you think?
Man, the way you're wording the question, I'm going to go with the nominal Christians.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They have a way higher chance than even those who don't say they're Christian or don't go to church. And I'm like, interesting.
That
So
is.
I'm in part of the book now where she's analyzing why is that. It's hey, these guys want to say, they put the label, I'm a Christian.
It's because they were wearing a mask.
Exactly.
Boom.
So they wear a mask in bed too. They wear a mask with their kids. They wear a mask at work. They wear a mask
Yeah.
when when their wives are trying to be intimate with them, telling them dark secrets or hey, I need you emotionally. Just yeah, baby, you're doing great.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Instead of having the hard conversations, the real conversations, the conversations that hurt. You know,
Absolutely.
that we can work on, we can build on, that we can go through the fire together.
Exactly. Yeah.
But
It's wild, man.
back to what you were saying about Nickelodeon, all right? Because
Yeah.
and then it ties into what you were saying about how the Olympic gymnastics. And isn't it wild that the higher up you go in showbiz or athletics or whatever, like the more you love this word, I can't remember it. It's the more you go into like this like apex whatever you're doing, like you're an actor, you're a singer, high performer, like the higher you are as a performer when it comes to these sort of genres where you're in front of the eye of the people on TV, on the radio, on the news, whatever, there seems to be more and more predators.
Exactly.
It's like there's more and more sharks.
Yeah.
In those waters, right?
Exactly.
And why is that? Some people argue that it's because like the predators have this mindset of a predator, right? So then they also want to present themselves in cheap clothing, right? So then they know how to be charismatic. They know how to shake your hand, look you in the eye, and lie to your face, right?
Yeah.
But then as soon as they get their moment, they pounce, right?
Yeah.
And they'll stalk their prey for months and years. And, I offer another conspiracy theory. But it's not really a conspiracy theory anymore.
How do I say
because
this?
because like we've talked about this before, but everyone in Hollywood is coming out as satanic.
Yeah.
And
is that wild?
They're coming out as in their music videos and their concerts, just openly, saying, I'm an open practitioner of Satanism, and the things that they have to do or go through in order to be part of the high coven or whatnot. I think they're selling their souls, man. They're selling their souls for riches.
Yeah, man.
I truly believe that. Like, I just saw this Justin Timberlake video that my buddy Alberto showed me, actually.
Justin.
Yeah, that's what I said. That's exactly what I said.
They got to him?
Yeah.
They can get to anyone.
Like if you look at all these artists, right? Like, look at Rihanna, Michael Jackson, Britney, look at all of these, specifically about the music industry, right?
Yeah.
They all have this one video that, like, music video, that after that music video, everything changes for them.
Yeah.
In their career, in their life. And it's really hot and it's heavy for like maybe a year, 7 years, but then after that, it goes downhill bad, right? And then for specifically Justin Timberlake right now, he's really light, he's happy, he always has this persona that he portrays that everything's good, and very clean boy image, right? Minus his major lapse in judgment, right, that he had with his co-star. But in this video, he enters this mansion, right, and they're having like this big party. It just looks like some sort of club, right? And then he sees this one girl, and he's okay, cool, she's cute, whatever. Goes over, starts dancing, and then the girl gets really weird and freaky, and then she like licks him, scratches his face, and then everybody in the club turns around and stares at him. And then, they get their faces distort, their eyes get all white and shady. I'm like, okay, so they're all demons, right? He just walked into a coven or something like that. And then the girl that he was looking at, she like sprouts wings and she's like spits blood all over him, like it's some sort of from her mouth, like it's some sort of ritual.
This is a new one?
Yeah, this is a new one.
What the?
And then and it has it doesn't go with the song at all, right?
Yeah.
So it's just like what are you guys doing? Like, you just want to openly tell it? Yeah. And so
this is not in sync, right? This is only Justin.
Yeah, this is only Justin. But then at the end of the video, right, like he disappears and then a new version of him appears, right, as the director. So he went from singer, cast, whatever, to director. So his status was elevated, right? Ooh. And then when everybody, the director comes out and he, again, really charismatic. He's like, all right, everybody, great job, go get cleaned up. Y'all look disgusting. And then he goes out to his car, makes sure nobody's looking, pops the trunk. The old Justin is in the trunk, scared, dying, wrapped in tentacles. And he feels like it's very symbolic of our souls, right? Yeah. Because it's like, okay, you entered this contract with the devil. and his demons, and then you get all the fame, all the money, everything you could ever wish in the world, but then there's a part inside of you that's scared. There's a part inside of you that wants out, that just wants to be saved. There's a part inside of you that wishes you had never done this, that sees the consequences of your actions, and that little bit of conviction, or that little bit of morality that you have left, you have to kill it in order to do the atrocities that you have to do to maintain yourself in this elevated status now.
Absolutely. Dude, are you familiar with what's going on with P. Diddy right now?
Yeah, he fled the country, right?
It's disgusting.
Yeah.
Let's say that. But
dude, him and R. Kelly are like similar, bro. Those dudes are on some other level type nasty.
exactly. But when you start hearing that, they were essentially petitioning like all of these men and women, of course, that were coming up like brand new to the game. It's like, oh yeah, I can make you a star if you just go about doing this. And then after they say I can make you a star after doing this, and the person does it, they win that exact award, or whatever it is. Like, why does it take for them to go about doing that to be able to win that award? That makes no sense. They don't even correlate. But somehow, some way, just because of the level of power that this individual has now, my career depends on it. And you get these new young kids that are coming up. Yeah. It's like, everybody's done it. Usher. Usher did it. You gotta be kidding me. No. Yeah, and it's crazy because this is exactly why I tend not to follow like anybody that is in Hollywood. If you ask me names and such, I only know the people that I listen to on a regular basis.
Right.
But my wife and daughter, they know everybody. So it's like I don't care about anybody else's life. I'm just trying to live my own.
Carlene's the same way. Yeah. She follows up with like Kardashians and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
yeah, exactly.
I'll talk about this another time.
Exactly. But they know everything that's going on with these people, but then they don't know that backstory about Justin. But these are the kids, or the people that the kids are idolizing, essentially, not knowing the backstory and what it is. So now you're putting these people up on a pedestal, and unknowingly, putting their actions up on a pedestal as well. So I always ask, like, what is it about these people that you guys are, so fascinated about? I could care less about anybody else's life, that they're living 10 times better than I am. I'm just struggling to get $1. So,
it's because other people follow them.
Yeah.
They're on TV, right? So automatically you're on TV. You ever hear people, ooh, I'm going to be on the news tonight.
Yeah. Yeah, but I had a conversation with my daughter not that long ago, and it was like, well, why do you choose to do these things? Well, it's a trend. It's like you'd rather follow the trend as opposed to, just being, this outstanding person that I know that you can be. You want to follow the trend and just fit in with the rest of society. It's like, well, I mean, everybody's doing it. It's like, and it's heartbreaking to hear, man, because that's just the way that the world is going to end up going, eventually, anyways. But eventually you have to be the person that's standing up on the hill while the rest of the dang group is getting slaughtered, if you will.
Realistically, what we're doing here with this podcast, we're fighting an uphill battle.
Exactly.
There's far more people that disagree with us than agree with us.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's fine.
Right?
But we got God on our side.
Hey.
So we're going to win. Maybe we won't win the battle, but
We'll win the war.
exactly.
And that's such a great piece of it, right? Like, will we see, like this it's an uphill battle. Will we see, like, the winning of that war, or is that going to be like beyond our lifetime? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because sometimes in war, you don't know how long it's going to be. So we're fighting this thing, right? Like, I would argue that we are one of the people in the front lines who are actually talking about this. It's been brought to me so many times. We're like, man, I love your guys' podcast. You guys are talking about stuff that a lot of men need to hear. Mm-hmm. I'm surprised you guys haven't been canceled yet. I'm like, that's because we're not big enough. Yeah. Not yet.
Just wait. Just
not
wait.
yet. We're still making little ripples. You just wait, though. I mean, think about it. In India, we started September 23. Mm-hmm. September 11th, 2023 was our first episode.
Symbolic.
Yeah, a lot of symbolism there.
Yeah.
A lot of symbolism there.
That's my wedding day, FYI.
Wow.
Shut up.
Yeah.
My daughter's birthday. The twins.
See?
7-Eleven.
Man.
You gotta add something.
Yeah, telling you.
He's like, I love smoothies. From 7-Eleven. Or slushies. That's what it is. Slushies.
September 11th. September.
Oh, September 11th. I don't know why I heard 7-Eleven. Something's wrong with my thing, man. I swear, yeah. That's the problem.
Oh man.
Lots of symbolism in there. But right, like if you look at it in this recording, tomorrow's Easter, so it's like September, October, November, December, January.
A, B, C, D.
January, February, March.
Well, it's been 6 months.
6 months, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, I better calculate this right. My man's about to shoot himself in the foot.
Carry the one. And,
I forgot it's a leap year. Oh yeah. But if you look at it, God has been like, I really believe God's hand is on this ministry, on this show. To look at where we've been able to take this, where it was just a couple conversations, and now it's grown. You've come onto the show. We have a men's group, and now like we're having these real conversations of what's really going on.
Yeah.
Other men are coming out of the woodwork, joining this group. Like, hey, I'm looking for a brotherhood like that. But, thank God we've been invited to speak at different events now, and it's really starting to grow. In 6 months, in my head, prior to me, really diving into Jesus, when I was much more like in the business world, if you told me, hey, I'm going to be able to do this and that in 6 months, I'd be like, no, that's not realistic.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But when you look at like, we've talked about this, right? We've talked about this where we're like, when we're faithful with the few, God can trust us to be faithful with the many.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
You asked a good question, right? Will we see the end of the war? Maybe not.
Yeah.
But for those that are listening, maybe they're inspired, right? And we'll talk about this and be like, you know what? I'm going to be empowered. So I'm going to fight this battle too. And then they start doing it in their lives, right? And I know we talked about it, but our men's group, for example, we tripled in size in like a matter of weeks.
Yeah, that was pretty wild.
Yeah. But people that then get inspired, they're like, you know what? I feel the same way. Maybe I was just too quiet to speak my mind.
Mm-hmm.
So they go and fight that battle.
Yes.
And the army for that uphill battle just gets larger and
Right.
larger and larger.
Because there's times where, you're like tired, you know what I mean? You're fighting that uphill battle, and you just see all this craziness going around you, and it's like you're just like trudging along with your shield, trying to go up and up and up, and you're like, oh God, I'm tired. I don't know how much longer I can do this, and you start to question, like, am I fighting the wrong battle? Am I climbing the wrong hill? And then something just happens, and like God brings, a new opportunity, a new guy on the team that just puts his hand on your shoulder, like, hey, let's keep going.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, dang, you know what I mean? Like, it feels so good to have that. And it's one of the things of brotherhood, real brotherhood, not just like, hey, we're friends, we'll, grab a beer here and there. Like, no, like, real relationships.
Exactly.
Real conversations. Not just the superficial Christian, like, hey, God is only positive and like the world is like sunshine and rainbows. Like, this is real stuff that's going on today that really needs to be talked about and brought more into the light. But society in general is so blinded with fame, success, power, all these things. Appearance.
Yeah.
And the world says this will make you happy. And we're like, no, it won't.
It's all vanity.
But it's like, no, but my friends are doing it.
Yeah.
My peers are doing it. And it's like, that's really where the uphill battle comes into. It's like, all right.
Absolutely.
Investing in the wrong things.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And they'll turn a blind eye to a lot of things.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have, but if you haven't, check out Sound of Freedom.
Oh, love that movie.
Bro.
Yep.
Love that movie.
What really gets me, and it's not the only thing I remember, but the message at the end saying most people will not watch this.
Yeah.
Because it's a very sensitive topic.
Mm.
And I know people who have been, I tried watching it, I couldn't get through it. Like it's disturbing.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree. It's
So do
very
you not think it's real? You know what I mean?
Right. No, but
Yeah.
that's the thing. Like
Yeah, yeah.
a lot of people rather just not watch something like that or come to the reality of it.
They want to throw a blanket over it because they don't want to. They're like, oh yeah, that's uncomfortable. I don't want to. I don't want
Right.
to touch that. I don't want to mess with that. I want to know about it.
I love that you mentioned that because this goes hand in hand with what we're talking about. These young up and comers in the game, whatever industry they're coming from, right? They have to make some sort of sacrifice, or there's a cost to get to the peak of that industry.
Mm-hmm.
If we flip that same question, if you're going to follow Jesus, it's going to cost you something.
Mm-hmm.
Like grace is free, but it's going to cost you something.
For now,
Right. It's going to cost you something. It means letting go of something. Or, so that's the question. What's it going to cost you? We have Brian's like,
Yeah.
ooh. we have a lot of men who are listening to this. I love listening to the show. It makes me feel good. It gives you some perspective. That's cool. What are you going to do about it? It's going to cost you something.
Yeah. That I think that we end up falling. Well, a lot of people, myself included, end up falling into that. The story that Jesus was coming across a man that I want to follow you wholeheartedly.
Yes.
And then what do I need to do to essentially be in the fold? You have to get rid of everything. Everything.
yeah.
Everything.
Sell all your things and follow me.
Exactly. And the guy was conflicted because I have so much.
He left sad.
Exactly.
And it's interesting because when he came in boastful, right? He was like, maybe not boastful, right? But he came in saying, I give, I tithe, I fast, I do all of these things. Like, what else can I do? Like, I want to follow you. You got to get rid of what you don't want to get rid of, buddy.
Exactly.
What hurts you the most, your vice,
Exactly.
wealth.
Yeah.
You got to get rid of it. It's a problem.
Matthew gave all that up, right? Tax collector.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
He was wealthy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
In that time, he gave it all up.
People hated him too, though.
Yeah, because he was like, "You're stealing my money, giving it to the Caesar."
But most people are going to have to. The number one thing I can think of is you're going to give up a lot of relationships
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Exactly.
because it's been said on here before, right? Who you surround yourself with has an impact. And I think that when you come to find religion, you want to be around other like-minded people. And you start seeing, I guess you see the light of like, okay, well I'm not into that, or that's not right, or whatever you're doing. But you gotta be willing to give up a lot of those relationships.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's probably the hardest part because we're so community based, We're created to commune, first with God, but then if you don't have God, you start filling that space with other things, other people. So when you come to God and you realize this is what I need, this is what I have, a hole the size of infinity in my heart, and God is the only one that can fill it. Yeah, you start cutting things off.
And I view it as, do you want a relationship with the eternal Father, or do you want a relationship with the world?
Yeah.
It's really...
And eternity is too long to be wrong about that decision.
Absolutely.
You know.
I think we end up falling into the trap. I forget which story it was, but they're escaping from Egypt, and then the wife turns back and looks at everything that they're leaving behind and turns into a pillar of salt.
For Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're looking back at all the wealth, the friendships, everything that you've accumulated.
The orgies.
In life. Exactly. It's like I miss the orgies.
Yeah.
One more peek.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
I was just watching.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
One more from the road.
I didn't do anything.
Exactly. But could you imagine you're like running, and then your wife turns back and looks, and then she turns into a pillar of salt, like right next to you. Like,
Yeah.
And just keep walking.
Well,
No,
I loved you. Bye.
yeah, exactly, man. You see,
Yeah,
but I think
that's wild.
that might be the level of sacrifice you have to be willing to go about giving up everything to be able to receive everything. So we end up falling into the Job story where he lost everything and then everything was doubled.
Yeah.
So
I want to say it was Jesus that said this, correct me if I'm wrong, but he was the one that said, he who saves his life will lose it.
Yeah.
And he who loses his life will save it.
Yeah.
So you're absolutely right.
When you're young and you hear that, you're like, what?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But as we get older and we have more perspective on what life really is and what life really costs, it's like, whoa, that question becomes so much more real.
Exactly. You know.
Yeah, sometimes I look at where we've come, right? Especially reading the Bible, and you hear about, Abraham grabbing his tent and putting it back and building an altar, and I'm just like, man, we don't live in tents anymore.
Exactly.
Like, we don't need camels and this because we got cars, and God let us get all the way here, and he could have just like kept us real humble. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But he let us like progress, and he let us discover science to try to understand the universe that he created, and he's gonna make it all anew anyways because we've corrupted it all.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
Well, that's such a weird, not a weird thing, but it's a powerful thing, right? When you really think about what's it going to cost to follow Jesus,
Yeah.
and then you start to kind of take a mental account of the things that you have, the things that we hold on to. You said it great, relationships. And we got to remember, relationships aren't just with people.
Mm-hmm.
What's our relationship with success?
Mm.
What's our relationship with power?
Yeah.
What does that look like?
Exactly.
And how is that, if that is something we need to give up, what's that going to look like?
Mm.
Here's another question. After you think about what's it going to cost, think about what am I going to gain?
Mm.
I think that's probably what people think first.
Yeah.
Before they ask what's it going to cost, what am I going to get from this?
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, that's kind of how we buy things. We don't look at like the price tag. We can justify the price tag. Even if it's out of our budget, we'll justify it.
Yeah.
Because of the gain or potential gain that we look at something with. Because let's say like, there's a Lambo for sale. Mm-hmm. And normally it costs like $200,000, but now they say it's $20,000. What?
Not everybody
80% off? Right, right.
Is that from Timo?
It's the wish version.
It's the wish version, right? But let's say it's completely legit, but it's only $20,000. $20,000 out of our budget. We don't have $20,000 to give, but because we're like, whoa, the gain is potential a real Lambo. And the perception of power and status that gives you. So we'll find a way. We'll borrow money. We'll do whatever we got to do to try to make, because we're like, hey, that's, the cost is, the gain is what I'm looking at. The cost is whatever.
I'd resell that so fast.
Exactly.
Oh, for sure.
I'd be like, cool, I just made $180,000.
Right, because you look, that's the gain.
Yeah.
Right? The gain is like, I'm not looking at the 20K. I'm looking at the potential 180 positive
Exactly.
that I'm going to get. So I think a lot of people look at that like Jesus. What's the gain for Jesus? Mm-hmm. And then like, oh, okay, I can be happier. I can have more fulfillment. I can have more purpose. I can have peace.
Eternal life.
I like that. Eternal life. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Now what's it going to cost? Ooh. Hence that guy in the Bible who went to Jesus. He went for him because he wanted gain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But that also, like, I love that you worded it that way, because like let's just like drop the spiritual for a hot second. Like, there are so many things in our lives that we need to take care of, right? But it's going to cost you something. Mm-hmm. There's so many things there's so many areas in our lives, with our marriage, with our kids, at work, in our personal lives, your health, which really on earth, that's probably the number one thing that matters, is your health. Your mental, physical health. What relationships do you have to give up to be healthy? Mentally healthy,
Yeah.
What foods, what drinks do you have to give up to be physically healthy? You have to give up, just sitting around at home all day, and go do some cardio or some push-ups or whatever, to be physically healthy, but you have to give up lounging, and then
Comfort food,
man.
Oh, don't say
don't
that.
say that
Don't
to me.
say
Stop
that to
it.
me.
Especially the older we get, man.
Exactly.
And it's like, what's it going to take for you to get to the next level, right? You got to invest again, but you got to put the time in. You got to make the relationships. I don't like talking to people. Oh, well, That's tough, buddy.
Yeah.
You know, you wanna get out there.
You want friends.
You
but
want
don't wanna talk to
friends,
people.
right? But like, yeah, it's another good one. You're lonely, right? Like I
Yeah.
hear this a lot. It's like, yeah, I'm never gonna meet a girl, right? And I'm just like, yeah, because you stay home and play video games all night, bro. Like, get out there. You know, like, oh, you see a cute girl, I see a waitress. Oh, talk to her, man. You're single. Go. You know, like,
Yeah.
go do it. You know, go get to know people, right?
Yeah.
Smile. That's another one. You know how many times I've told people smile? Like,
Yeah.
why do you look like you're like a constipated on the toilet? Like, smile, bro.
Yeah.
All you gotta do is smile.
Why so serious?
Why so serious?
Let's see.